What's up guys, Josh from Xtreme Truck and Auto. We got a pretty cool video on one of these AT&T disaster reliefs. We are actually going to be installing a deck drawer system into the back of this service body. Now, I know you guys have seen decks before in a lot of pickups and stuff like that, but I don't know if I've really seen a video over it going into a service body. So I'm going to walk you through the install, and then at the end we'll go through kind of why I like this system being put into a service body. So one thing I do want to mention before we get rolling on this, if you guys have never dealt with deck products before, whoever does their instructions and their marketing and whatnot is a genius. The instructions are hilarious. The comments on the side of the box are really funny. So if you guys do end up putting one of these together by yourselves, enjoy. It's not just your basic set of instructions. So let's get into it. Our first two steps of this project is we're going to be installing that back portion. It basically just snaps on to this center part right here. Then down here I have a set of tie downs, and we're going to be installing those. As you can see, there's little notches and the rails have been left loose, so they're going to go where there's notches. There's 4 of them. There's one back there, and then obviously on the other side as well. Let me get that assembled and I'll bring you guys back in and show you the putting on of the deck lid and all that stuff. We got our tie downs on. I have one deck lid just set on here so I can show you guys how it kind of goes together. The way you tighten down the tie downs and all these bolts is you need a 3/8, and then I use an 11mm. You can use the standard version, whatever it is. I think it's like 7/16 or something. What you basically do is you pick up the deck lid and you slide it on. Now it does take a little bit of adjustment. If you have help, cool. If not, you're going to need help for the step following putting all the deck lid and stuff on. But essentially what you're going to do is you got 3 holes here, 3 holes there, the holes running down the middle, and then the same on the other side. So we're going to put all the bolts that come in these nifty little bags right here into the deck, and we're going to very carefully tighten them down to make sure we're not over tightening it. You can use a drill or an impact. Just make sure you set it on the lowest setting so that way you're not overdoing everything. But yeah, I'm going to get this slapped on, and then I'm going to go chase down somebody to help me lift it into the bed of that service body. Now they do show it on a service body without a top, and it's got like the tailgate piece as opposed to the swing doors. So if we run into any issues sliding this portion into the truck, I will be sure to give you the heads up. But for now, I'm going to keep doing it the way they tell me to. All right, I got the feet lined up to the deck lid. Now, one thing I did say was I went ahead and tightened everything down. What I meant by that is I just basically started the nylock onto the threads, but leaving this with some play. What that allows me to do is to shift these feet left and right if needed, so that way we can get all these bolt holes lined up. Same thing over here. If you check this out, it's loose as well. I like to kind of snug everything up so that way I'm not dealing with, when you're tightening stuff down, the nuts falling off and all that other stuff. It just keeps everything together. So now I'm going to run the bolts down the middle of this thing. I'm going to go find my help, and we're going to get it set in the back of this. So one thing we ran into is we had the bolts all the way down, and we were going to try to lift it in, but then I busted out a tape measure and measured, and actually it's too thin to put it in all as one piece. Like I said, the tailgate, you're fine because you don't have the bracing for the doors. So I am going to slide this other piece in, run the bolts down, and then we're going to move on to assembling the drawers. Now, one thing I'm looking at is right here. We may run into an issue with the drawers coming out. So if we do, we'll have to kind of deal with that as it comes up. But for now, I'm going to get this piece in and we'll go from there. So went ahead and threw on the hardware here. You'll want to make sure that you have the bigger wheels on the back. It does come with 2 sets. These are noticeably smaller than the other. These are for the front. So make sure you install the back on the big wheels on the back here. Couple of things to note is there are two longer bolts. They'll go in the top position right where my finger's touching at these dents. And then you'll have smaller ones that go down there. But for this bar, what you'll do is there's a nut that's welded on the end. You just thread it in, and that provides the stability and bracing for back here. So I'm gonna get this side thrown on, and then we'll move on to the handle. I'll get it all set up the way I like to, show you guys my little trick. So now that we've got the wheel, the bracing and all that installed, one thing you guys do not want to forget about is these little screws here that I'm kind of wiggling. There's a little nut piece and a Phillips head portion of it that you need to install to the bracing. So just make sure you remember to do that. So as you can see, I've got the springs held in by the pins. The pins are just barely poking through on either side. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna fish this handle up in there, and then as we push the handle into place, push it that way, it'll roll to where we need it to, and then we just basically push these through. Give it a test. It's working. So now we've got these little clips here in the side of this bag. They go through the little holes in the pins right there and right there, and then that's it. Like I said, it's pretty straightforward. It can be a little tricky if it's your first time, but that's how that's done. The next step of everything is once you slide your drawers in, you're gonna put this seal on. It's easy enough to install. They have it labeled what side goes towards the cab. So Deck does a really good job of making sure they're nice and even. So you basically just start either end of this thing, and then just, you can use a dead blow, or in my case, I'm just gonna use my fist and make sure we're all snug. But before I get into any sort of drawer issue at this point, what I'm gonna do is we're going to push these back in and install the small little wheels up in each corner. So we'll lift this up and put that into place. Same thing on the other side. Now, what I do to help out if I'm the only one is I get a pry bar and I put it under here and help lift the drawer up. And then I hand start the bolts, so that way we make sure we're not cross-threaded, and then I'll finish them off with like a my little impact over there and a swivel. And you just want to basically just go up to where it seats and then hand tighten it the rest of the way. So we've got our drawer situation taken care of. Next step is I've went ahead and set this black bar under here. If you guys are having issues, you can always take a big pry bar and then just lift up, because if you push down, you're going to push on that black thing. It's going to make it impossible to get in there. But if you peek right up in there, we're going to have to shift this that way. But I'm going to go ahead and put these bolts in, and then the way this front faceplate here works is it slides up into there like so, and then you put those bottom bolts in. So we're going to go ahead and get that knocked out. And then we're moving on to the real fun part, installing these tie downs and whatnot. Now, one thing I do have is this grab handle's in the way, so I'm possibly going to notch this so that'll sit flush where it's supposed to. Once when I sort all that out, I'll bring you guys back in and we'll just keep trucking along. So I got 4 more holes I need to drill to get this installation completely done. Before I do that, I want to walk you guys through a couple things. First thing, this is a service body, but it's a KUV style service body, KUV service body. Basically, it's a service body with a camper shell top on it and these full doors. Now, what you will run into with these full doors is the decked unit itself, the drawers are too wide by like a 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch on either side. Now, we did go ahead and modify this. I don't necessarily recommend that you do. You're welcome to talk to Deck about it. We did not in this case because we need to get this done. So we're just going to send it. We did go ahead and trim a portion of the drawer off, as you can see on both these sides. you know, it is what it is. Customer needs this to work. We're gonna make it work. The other thing I did is I notched right here for this handle, so that way this is able to sit flush up against the side of the service body. So we're gonna drill our 4 holes that go right in the center of these tie downs, add the spacers, bolt it down, and we're done. So let me get those in. I'll show you the spacer and the bolt and what all I'm talking about there. But for now, I'm gonna punch 4 holes after I make sure I measure this and it's all straight and where I want it. And then we should be good to go and it should be out the door. All right, so here it is. It's all bolted in with that spacer right there. Same thing on this side. So the way it's held on to the body is there's 2 bolts coming in from the side here that hold the deck itself, and then you have this long rail pushing down on it, as well as a bolt coming through the tie down. So that's how everything's kind of tied together. I'm gonna get this cleaned up. So one thing I do want to mention before I wrap up the video is the new deck boxes. These things are cool. Basically, you got a built-in handle. I really like that these are now squeezed to open. And one extra bonus is they come pre-assembled. The old boxes, you had to hammer the pins in and put the seals on it and all that stuff. So that's a, you know, 10-minute time save, something like that. This seems to be really well designed. It's heavy, it's built to last. If you have the handle up, you'll see right here is a little cam that the handle engages. So if you're carrying it and it's not fully lashed, it's not coming open. I definitely like that. So that's it when it comes to the install of this deck system into this KUV service body. Keep in mind, we did have to do some modification to it. If that's not what you want to do, that's fine. I totally get it, but it does work. I will keep you guys informed on how it holds up with that modification, and also if we have any other issues. So thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. One last thing to talk to you guys about, if you've stayed around till the end of the video, is if you're subscribed to our channel, like us on Facebook or follow us on Instagram, one of those 3 options, we are offering a 5% discount to you guys up to $100. So yeah, just keep that in mind, and hopefully I'll see you guys around.